Oh my gosh, guys! Sorry, that's kind of a weird way to start a video, but I love this feeling when you watch an episode of television and you can't stop thinking about it. It's oh my gosh, I love Silo. It was so exciting this episode. I mean, this episode wasn't like extremely insane like a finale, right? But it was good, and I'm just so hyped for the future. I will say, there's a lot of interesting things to know. I'm gonna explain the episode, insights, whatnot. But like, there's an interview with Steven Zahn, I think it's pronounced Zahn, who plays Solo in the show that I've just seen. That has a lot of info. Actually, I think it has a lot of info. And then we're gonna get into some info about next week's episode, and then the finales after that. I won't get into the finale info, just next week's, but I will give a spoiler warning. But here we go. I will say one thing of note here before the episode even starts. In the previously on section, it shows the bodies outside the vault that Solo has been in, and it showed in the preview, but they don't really mention it at all during the episode. But I think I know why, and I'll explain kind of what Steven said in his interview, or Steve, what Steve said in his interview, how it relates to that, and how the previously on that one part of the previous on will relate to the episode. But the episode does start with Juliette where we left off, by herself, trying to get her shoes on, but she's, anxious. She's looking around while she's putting the shoes on because, like, obviously something has happened to Solo. She gets the shoes on. She's worried about the axe being open, kind of worried it might be a trap or something. She inches towards it, gets it, and then she starts to go up the stairs to follow the trail of blood. But her ears start ringing, and here I was like, oh, the ears instantly ring. She has the bends. They brought it up last episode. Not good. But she follows the blood, and it stops at a certain level. It doesn't go up the stairs. It stops at a level, and it seems like Solo didn't like climb up there or anything. It seems like we'll get into the people at the end. It's not one person. For some reason, I figured it would just be one other person with them in the silo. No, there's people. I'm guessing they somehow maybe hit him in the back of the head, something, and then started dragging his body up to the level where they knew they could like fortify the level, because there's one entrance to the level. There's this one bridge they can fortify. But after this, she falls to the ground, drops the axe, and she's loud. She's like loud. She's being very loud. And here I was like, oh shoot, they're gonna jump her. She's just sitting here being loud in the open. But no one does. She goes back down the stairs, and we hit the intro, which is exciting. Then we go to Bernard, who's walking in this area. I believe we've never seen. I watched season 1 recently. I don't remember it, but it could be a memory issue. But this area with these giant fans, where the pumps are, where Juliette did turn a pump on. So I guess we've seen it in Juliette's silo, but it was underwater. I didn't pay much attention. But he goes into a room labeled Utilities JWP 90. And then he shuts it. And then here I was thinking this is where they're keeping Carlo, right? This is some secret area. We don't know where Carlo's being taken, being held. This is where it is. It turns out not to be, but it's related. We'll talk about that when we get to it. We got Shirley kind of emotional, sort of crying, writing Cooper's name on the wall. The wall that was used in the rebellion 140 years ago. Actually, wait, I just thought about something. It could be more than 140 years ago, because we got some pretty revealing info. I'll talk about it more later, but we can get into it now. Being that Bernard, so we've had the idea that there was one rebellion that happened 140 years ago. Salvador Quinn was the head of IT, and he kind of was part of it. Some rebellion 140 years ago, and it might be starting again in present time. But we learned this episode that there was a rebellion 160 years ago, 180 years ago, 200 years ago, like 20 years. Every 20 years or so, there was some buildup of a rebellion like there is now. And, well, I'll talk about how there's not. Salvador Quinn's plan to make it so they don't know was basically that he put drugs, the forget drugs, in the water slowly over weeks, months, and years, that we've heard about season 1. We know, that made everyone forget about the past rebellions, and he let the rebellion, he didn't let the rebellion burn papers and all the history, but he did it himself, so as to like save the silo from knowing that there was a previous rebellion. But so now that I think about, those names in that secret area might be old. They might be older than we've been led to believe in that area of the silo in the Down Deep. Then we go to Paul, who's in the cafeteria in the Down Deep, and a bunch of people are staring at him, and I was like, is this because he's down deep? The sheriff's just down here, not typical? Or is it because Bernard said that he was abducted? And I was thinking, no, it's probably because he's in the Down Deep, because he said that the Down Deep abducted him. Bernard said that, so I don't know. But I mean, if somebody sees Paul from up top, they're gonna be like, wait, you're not abducted, and you know, hopefully some of Bernard's crappy lies get seen through. Then Paul and Shirley talk. He says, I mean, basically Shirley says you're hiding out because your sheriff privileges may be revoked if you go back up. He said he'll help the Down Deep as far as the pact goes, and says that the founders established a process through law and whatnot, so he can't just like go arrest Sims and Bernard. And well, she's like, well, don't follow the pact, whatever. And then he says no, like a firm no. Like, this is Paul, this is his beliefs. He does not believe the founders were lying. That's what she said. She said the founders may have been lying. And I love this literary foil. I don't know. I don't know if you'll know what that means, but that's when opposite characters are together, kind of, and they bring out different things in each other. Like, we've got Paul here. He's grew up with the pact. He loves the founders. He's read the pact like every night, whatnot. And then there's this person from Mechanical, the Down Deep, who does not believe in the pact, does not believe in the government system anymore, and wants to rebel against it. That these two together in a scene is just beautiful. By the way, I'm gonna say it right now. You probably already saw the timestamp, but this is or the end time. But I've got a lot to say on this episode, so like stay strapped in. But I promise, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. Then we go to Lucas, who is going into Meadows' place, where he sees Judicial kind of cleaning it up for Sims. He says, hey guys, I'm IT Shadow, get the hell out of here, basically, and shows his blue badge, which means something fancy. And I was like, damn, Lucas finally growing a spine, huh? But he starts matching the code to all the books in there, and he kind of goes through this thinking, the codes don't work. He goes to the computer. He searched for Salvador's descendants and needs a password and uses his badge code. His badge code works as the password. By the way, if you're wondering, I can't tell what the badge code is. I tried. But I loved that in this scene, we didn't hear him audibly say something. Like a CW show or something, I don't know, would be like, huh, maybe I should check his descendants. Or, huh, that code doesn't work. No, but we watched and interpreted ourselves. Show, don't tell. He crossed them out. We saw they didn't make any words. We could see the thinking going on. We saw him type in Salvador's descendants. Like, I just appreciated that. Then we go back to Mechanical and the Down Deep they're all, pretty much, the rebellion is all in Walker's shop. And they explain how they want to break into medical supply, get some supplies. And Dr. Nichols is here. That got me pretty hyped. I was like, yay, Dr. Nichols is participating. And Walk shouted at them to leave, that Carla's the main focus. Get the hell out of here. You guys are going to get yourself killed. Then throws something that she was working on the entire time they were there talking to her. She just chucked it. I mean, I don't know. That was a lot of work. I don't know. And then her computer turns on and gets a message, even though messages are disabled. And we go back to Juliette, who goes down the stairs suffering the effects of the bends and goes back underwater. Like, I was just like, damn, she really going back under. I mean, that's the obvious solution. I mean, that's what Solo told her. Solo coming in clutch here. Solo's info, I guess. But it's kind of crazy. She's going back under, closing her eyes, getting a breathing tube-ish thing. And then we go to Walker, who says she opened the message that was for Walker and only Walker. It was a message from Bernard telling her to go to level 90 for pump maintenance. Level 90, by the way, and the pumps are, like I said earlier, where the big fans are, where Bernard was in the beginning of the episode. Then we go to Juliette, again, who starts breathing through this tube and going a little bit down in the water so she can kind of go through this. Then Lucas finds the descendants of Salvador Quinn, and he's like, hey guys, what's, and then I guess the door shut on him, and then he's like, he was about to leave, but he says no. He starts hitting the door. I was like, he don't back down. Like this is some Lucas changing here. And then he opens the door, sees the woman, her father-in-law, I think, and they both try and like shut him out, and says, I don't think you got a good look at this, and shows his badge. Like, it was so sassy, but it was amazing on Lucas. Lucas doing that was amazing. But he's like, I can haul y'all upstairs if you don't talk to me right now. And I was like, damn, Lucas is wild. Lucas is wild right now. But they said they make the wool. They make a lot of the wool for the silo, which is interesting. There's a wool machine thing. The cleaning wool is actually the title of the first book, which is cool, if you didn't know that. The wool is used to clean the sensor. And they also said blankets and stuff. But he said, I believe a book is in your possession. And when he says this, I mean, it's subtle, but not too subtle. It's subtle enough, but the kid kind of stops making the wool for a little bit, and they don't focus on it too much. They don't really think about it, but the kid stops making the wool once he talks about a book in the background. And I mean, it shows the kid obviously knows. I was like, okay, well, they do have this book, whatever they're talking about. But Lucas comes up empty-handed, leaves the room, and I thought here Lucas's progression is actually interesting. They kind of ruin it a little more throughout the episode, but at this moment I was like, Lucas went from some, I guess, cowardice guy in the mines who just knew tech to now this kind of like demanding, rude, sassy IT guy who's kind of like going down like he's in a descent towards a darker path with Bernard. And I felt like that's pretty interesting for Lucas's arc, but they do kind of change it a little bit here. But then the father comes back and says, can I give you advice, bro? I can tell you haven't had that badge for long. You're trying to be a tough guy, but tough guys don't talk as much as you do. And a tough guy ain't you. You're not cut out for it. And he said, we don't talk about Salvador Quinn. We make the wool because we're trying to make up for what he did. So just get out. And yeah. Then we go to Patrick Kennedy. He tastes some soup, I think. Or it's a soup or a drink. He's like, I don't like. He says it tastes like his brother's armpit, I guess. But then he talks about the fact that his husband, or that, wait, that Kathleen's husband, sorry, he had a wife named Doris. I'm sorry, Doris. But his, Kathleen's husband, Paul, he says that Paul knew a lot about the before times and showed him the page that he must have shown his wife. But yeah, this is the first Kathleen's hearing of it. She didn't know about the page. Then we go back to Juliette with a new score. Like, if you don't know what a score is, composed score, music in the background. It was new, and I loved it. I always loved the score in the show. But she's walking up the stairs, and a loud sound goes off, like a bing, like some metal dropping or something. And this exact moment, for some reason, I had a thought of what next episode could be. It just went, like, the sound triggered an idea in my mind instantly. I thought that maybe next episode will be Solo's POV of what happened to him, as well as a flashback Solo episode, all in one moment, kind of a thing, where we see Solo get knocked out, we see him get taken, and that sound could have been dropping something or some sound in which we see the other POV next episode. Like this episode, oh, we hear a sound, Juliette reacts to it. But next episode, we see the other point of view of the sound. We see someone accidentally kick something or purposely drop something, and we just hear Juliette yelling from the distance. And that would be so interesting. I thought about it, Juliette's end, or not Juliette's end, Solo's end. And we learn what the sound was and what was happening with Solo at the time. That'd be interesting. But Juliette tries to go across this bridge. Hears a voice, sees a light turn on with a judicial outfit on. She's like, please, I need the man that you took. Please, I'll just take him and we'll go. And he's like, I killed him and I will kill you too. And then she's like, no, please just give me the, and then gets an arrow in her shoulder. And I was like, damn, Juliette is getting destroyed this season with the water and the falling and having to be by herself and just getting arrows in her, getting the bends. Like, I was like, what? Can we give this woman a break for a second? And here, I was making theories about who this man could be. I was thinking Russell. Russell, we've heard his name a lot. Really, that's one of the only people we know from this silo, was the head of IT. And the real Solo, I was wondering, those are the only two people I could think of, really. Then we go to Camille and Amundsen. Camille manipulating Amundsen. She's so manipulative this whole series, bro. But she plants IT doubts, says she doubts IT that, oh, you were the first agent he ever brought to dinner with. And says, please just track Lucas, do this one thing for me. And then we got a Walker who goes to the pump room 90. From the beginning, the door that says Utilities JWP 90, and Bernard's here, and he says that you must have wanted to see me, Walker, because you turned on your camera, and says it's time to negotiate. Then we'll go to Juliette with the whole arrow situation, trying to get that situated. But I loved it before she does it. She checks behind her. I don't know, I just loved it. It felt real and immersive. Like, of course, if these people are in this silo, you're gonna like check behind your shoulder every second, and that's a given, but not always in television. But I love the decision, whether it's an acting decision by Rebecca Ferguson or a directing decision by I don't remember, I'm sorry, it's Amber something, I think Amber, yeah, I'm positive it's Amber. But she's a really good director. I think she's been my favorite director out of the directors from the episodes we've seen, but that's just a side note. We go to Juliette, who starts dripping something on her wound. I don't know what it is. I mean, y'all can let me know. I guess I'm just not as versed in that area. But she puts on a bandage, tapes it onto her, takes some pills, probably painkillers, I'm guessing. Yeah, maybe. And then we go to Sims, who gets a computer message and from Ottomanson, which says, thinking of the time you came to my father's funeral seems so long ago. I sometimes wonder how that little apple tree has grown. And this is a message, basically, go to the freaking apple tree, Sims. That's basically what it says. And I was like, smart. I give him some credit for that, because, you know, Amundsen seemed like an idiot and just a jerk, but I give him some credit for that. And also, R.I.P. Father Amundsen. And we go to Sims, who meets him here. I figured that was Amundsen saying that that's Lucas's location. I thought that's what it was, but it was a meetup location. And Amundsen says he ate an apple. It was bitter. It was bitter crap. And then says it fits since his old man was a bastard. So, never mind the R.I.P. Father Amundsen, I guess. Amundsen says he has a track. He's been keeping a track on Lucas, looking for Lucas has been looking for Salvador Quinn's book on the stairs, and he's headed down right now. Then Amundsen says, you don't have to send your wife after me to get some requests. And by Sim's face here, I think you can tell that he didn't send his wife to go after Amundsen, and it doesn't seem like his style. I think Camille did it on her own. And I mean, last episode he said no more secrets, we do things together. So I mean, it's a little confusing, but still don't trust her. She's had her own agenda the whole time. She's playing chess. She didn't tell him, you know, she's been playing chess, you know. But Amundsen says no, I'm never gonna help you anymore. This was a one-time thing, bye. And we go back to Walker and Bernard, and I thought here, I just love Walker and Bernard on screen. I just love these two actors and characters together in a scene. Just the two of them, and I really liked it. But he starts to get real dark and says that Carla will suffer more pain than it can exist in this life. And that's just a crazy thing to say. And then says she'll be in so much pain that she'll be pleading to the founders to let her die. And I was like, damn, he getting colder and colder this season. Like, last episode I had a few damn moments, but like, he's getting cold. But he's playing with Walk's love for Carla. And then all season we've known that's kind of been Walk's story this season. And it makes sense. But he says he wants Walk to give up Mechanical's planning, and he will let her see Carla. And this was, I don't, just something about the vibe of this scene felt so what's the word, monumental. It just felt like, what the hell am I watching? I'm watching a masterpiece of sci-fi here. And it wasn't even like that big of a sci-fi scene or anything. It was just the acting and all the stuff that was going in my mind with how Bernard thinks he's doing the right thing, and Tim Robbins acting and the situation they're in, and it just felt amazing. Then we go to Kathleen, Paul's wife, if you didn't know. They don't say her name much, but she says, I want to know about the page, Paul. And Paul's like, I shouldn't have said nothing. I shouldn't have said nothing to Patrick Kennedy. And then she says, is it true? I was like, what do you mean it's true? You literally, you heard the page. Paul literally kind of admitted just now to having the page. What do you mean? And then she's like, is there a beautiful world? I was like, oh, I'm sorry for doubting you, Kathleen. She's asking if it's true that the world was colorful. He pulls out the page, shows her. They both start crying as they talk about, he saw animals, children, all these colors, when all they have come to know is the gray within the silo and outside the silo. And it's emotional, like a root theme of the show. Then we go to Lucas, who apologizes to the descendant family, saying he got lucky getting his position and that he's not special at all. I was like, okay, I mean, I'm glad you're apologizing, but don't sell yourself too short, bro. And just when I thought he had a descent arc, he goes back on it. That guy knocks some sense into him. But he explains what I mentioned earlier, that Salvador Quinn was not a bad guy that helped the rebellion. He actually is the reason they've had peace for 140 years. He tells them, he doesn't tell them exactly, he just says he can't tell them exactly why, but Salvador Quinn was a hero. And the kid's like, I knew it. I was like, okay. But the family explains that Meadows came here and said the same thing before, and this was before she was judged. So she had to have been Shadow, given the timeline. Bernard's Shadow, I'm guessing. And she's also wanted books. And Lucas has a questioning look here. If Bernard already knew, I got the exact vibe right there that he's like, wait. Judge Meadows already went through everything I've already done. Why wouldn't Bernard have just told me? But I mean, it's probably because sorry, I stopped thinking for a moment, but Bernard probably didn't know. Meadows probably kept it a secret from him, and Lucas doesn't really talk about it, so I'm guessing he assumes the same thing. But they explain how she just wanted an old copy of the Pact, Salvador Quinn's Pact, in exchange for some relic books. And I was like, dang it, another blockade to this freaking book. Can we just get the book and the Pact? And we do. I get rewarded. But I don't know if I do with the message. Then we go to Juliette, who is a shield and like a weapon. I think it's the axe. It looks goofy. It made me laugh, but it makes sense, Stay low, get that shield down, But I feel like I'd say to these people, hey, I mean you no harm. I want to leave this silo. Like, I want to leave this silo, guys. I just want to get my suit and go. But maybe not, because then they would want to go. Maybe they'd be like, wait, you have a suit? I'm gonna kill you and steal your suit and get out of here myself. That's maybe. So yeah, I told you guys this will be a longer one. A lot to say, but we still have a lot more to say. But to those you that you will be rewarded, and you are also extremely appreciated. Because we still have that interview with Steve, the actor for Solo, and a lot about next episode. But right now, we got Mechanical climbing up for their plan to get supply, and Judicial's waiting for them. Walker sold them out. And then we go to Walker seeing Carla in her holding area. Seems like a few holding areas. And Bernard's like, now you've seen her, I made a deal that you could see her. She doesn't know you're there, you know. She didn't know you saw her, but yeah, you saw her through the glass. And I want you to continue to be my eyes in the down deep. And in exchange, I will keep her safe, and I'll let you see her. But I was thinking at this moment, Tim Robbins has gotten more comfortable with the role. Like he feels like he's having a good time. He's comfortable. He knows what he's doing. But he says, turn your camera on back in the workshop till this is over. Then we go to Lucas, who got the pact and is there. The pact is there at Meadows' place where he started. And I was confused. I was like, didn't he check all the books? But he probably ignored it, thinking it was just another copy of the pact, right? Just a basic copy of the pact. Didn't know Salvador Quinn's. But it was there all along. You didn't need to go all the way down there to the sentence. But he goes to page 77, tries his code. It doesn't work. It's gibberish. But then he sees on 77, there's some markings where Meadows already figured it out. Where it says she figured out some part of the code. Or, wait, or did he? No, I think it was him. I think it was her. It was already marked in the book for him that said proceed 20 paces forward, then 2. Which is genius to go to page 99, which is where the true code is. Like another layer of the code. It's really cool. And the code says if you've gotten this far, you already know the game is rigged. And that's it. That's the whole message we've been waiting for. And I don't know what the hell it means. So this is comments time to theorize here. Because I don't think I have anything. I mean, that's gotta be some code, meaning something more than what it says, I think. But he tries to leave, and he gets interrupted by Sims, and he says, "You can't touch me. I work for IT." And Sims, this made me laugh as well. Sims stares at him, says, "You have no idea what I could do." And I literally audibly laughed. That's what he says in the stare. And he takes the bag that Lucas has and finds the pact in it. And thinks nothing of it, puts it back. And gives Lucas some advice. Says, Bernard will throw you away as soon as he doesn't need you. He did it to Meadows. He did it to me. He'll do it to you. And gives the advice to Lucas. And Lucas doesn't seem to listen or take the advice. But I feel like I trust Sims here. I'd want him in my back pocket, you know, just someone to rely on. But he tries to walk away, and Sims says, your mother would hate to have her son as a patient at the hospital on level 86. I was like, what the okay, that's a crazy final thing to say. And we go back to Walker, who installs this camera back in her place. She has some alcohol, you know. She needs to console herself with some poison. But Shirley comes in, says that the mechanical people got caught. She's like, damn, they got caught, Walker. Oh my gosh. And Walker's like, what? No way. I didn't sell them out totally. But she has a horrible poker face, by the way. And Shirley says there's got to be a snitch. The camera's on. And Walker kind of gets Shirley to get away. Shirley's a little suspicious, not of her, but just like a little confused on what Walker's acting differently. Bernard is watching this camera. He smiles and sits back in his chair, but Walker flips off the camera. Then we get the final scene. I'm going to talk about a lot here, more than just the final scene. But Juliette goes to the presumed body of Solo to go check on Solo. Not dead Solo, but the guy in the judicial outfit, which is actually not a guy. They fight. They wrestle. Juliette kind of wins the fight, realizes it's a woman halfway through, tackles her, takes her judicial helmet off, and notice, I think it's a woman. I'm pretty sure it's a woman or a young boy. It's one of the two. And then past that is a girl and a guy with an arrow, a bone arrow. She has, and the guy, I mean, it looks like it just has. He's a freaking stick, but maybe there's a blade I ain't seeing. But he's like, I'm gonna put one in your heart, little girl. Not little girl. I'm gonna put one in your heart if you don't like stop hurting my friend. And yeah, that's the episode, but not the end of this video. So let's get back to the previously on, which I talked about in the beginning of the video, that showed Juliette questioning the fresher bodies outside the vault, and the words on the vault that say, "We will get in sooner or later," on the vault. And I thought those words were probably written from these people, right? Because I feel like all the other people that escaped and died to like the toxic world wouldn't have written that. I mean, because they're dead, but they would have written it before. But I feel like these people wrote it, and I was thinking maybe something went down in which there was a group of these 6 people left alive or something. And Solo did something crappy where they get in a fight. He killed 2 of them and then locked himself away for like all eternity. And that's why he has to stay in the vault. That's why he's so scared when he's not in the vault, is because he's worried he'll be killed the longer he's out of it. But he's grown up some exposure therapy, you know. And some history went down here. It's all we know. And I need a freaking episode about it, but there may be some hope based on next episode stuff. But I especially want to see Solo's performance, Steve Zahn's performance as someone not crazy, as Solo before he got crazy. Like, that would have been, I want to see that. I want to see how he plays Solo. That'll be interesting. But now we're going to get to the interview section of Steve Zahn, what he has to say. It's a little spoilery, but it's a little vague in kind of our own interpretations. I think it'd be interesting, even if you are one that doesn't like spoilers. But I'll get into even more spoilers later. But Steve Zahn said that Solo is really good at covering up his trauma. And here I was thinking, we don't really know what he's talking about. We don't really know too much of his trauma. We know that Solo's kind of an interesting guy, but the fact that the actor says he's covering up his trauma is a very interesting insight. But we do know that Solo has some trust issues with Juliette in the beginning, when he didn't trust her, and she realized it must have been because whoever wrote the message on the door did something to him. So does this mean that he isn't like the bad guy in the situation that these other people are? Maybe he accidentally like killed his friends, or he got angry and did something and he's been hunted by his other friends. That's pretty traumatic. But something else that Steve says is Solo is confronted with it and has to deal with it, and it's pretty hardcore. That's what he says. He says he's confronted with it, has to deal with it, and it's pretty hardcore, which is kind of a spoiler, right? Damn, that was a Discord notification. That's kind of a spoiler that he is going to have to confront his trauma. We've only got two episodes left, so it has to be with these people, something. And then he also says they shot Silo in order. Like, I know, if you don't, not like a TV show geek out there, I don't know if you know how crazy that is to shoot something in order. But that's just interesting if you didn't know that. But then here is more spoiler territory with the description of episode 9, the picture of episode 9. But I will say episode 9 is a whole hour, which is just, I was so hyped. I saw that right before I recorded this video, and that's part of the reason I was so hyped in the beginning. I was like, yes, next week's episode is literally an hour, not including credits. An hour of content. I was so hyped to hear that. Like, that's what, like, kind of a movie, I guess, half a movie. But here's episode 9, what we know, spoilers. And by the way, nothing in my videos is ever the books. I've actually started reading the books, but I will never say something that's spoilery from the books, except maybe next season. season 3, maybe I start videos where I do a non-spoiler and then I do a book read spoiler video. I don't know, but the picture looks like the 3 people we saw at the end, and they look like they're hiding and scared with like a branch or something, like outside maybe. I don't know, but this may be them seeing the other end of the time that we saw with Solo and Juliette together and like talking. Maybe they were stalking them, and that's what we're seeing, because they do seem like the same age roughly. Then it says Billings, faith is shooken, which is great. And we kind of saw that. But then the next part of the description says Lucas goes down deep. That's what it says. I'm like, for what? Like, maybe the book says something. Maybe he wants to go to the door all the way down there. I don't know. Then it says Knox identifies the traitor, and I was like, are you giving it away that he actually identifies Walker, or like is he trying to find the traitor, or he's getting close to it? Then the most exciting one, I literally jumped out of my seat when reading this. Juliette finds truth about Solo's past. I think that's what it says. I don't know. It's a little glitchy, but it's roughly that. Juliette finds truths about Solo's past. I was like, yes, 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 yes. We've waited so long. I just want some freaking history and flashbacks. I want to know Solo's story. I need it, and I really hope they deliver next episode, because I've been waiting. I was like, F yeah. Also, the title of the episode is The Safeguard, so really know what that means. I don't think we will until we watch it. You can make some predictions, but I mean, that's something to be excited about, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much if you made it this far into this video. I just had so much to say. This recording is like over an hour long. I'm gonna have to edit this down and maybe get rid of some things I said to make it reasonable. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so hyped for an hour-long episode next week, and I guess I want the finale to end with Juliette making it back to her silo, but I also want Solo to be a character, like a main character in the show, like for season 3, 4, 5, however long it goes. I want him, because he's so interesting. But it must be hard to play that role for that long. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.